What's
Oh,
up? You got the yawns here. What is up? Welcome to another edition of SacTown Movie Buffs. Once again, I'm Kier, and this is Jason. And today we are back reviewing a new film that is only streaming, I believe. Correct? Yeah,
Netflix.
Netflix. And that film is actually called The Bubble. And I believe, Jason, you're actually going to take this one on. So I say, without further ado, I say we get right into it.
Sure. Okay, so The Bubble is the new film by Judd Apatow, who is very well known and respected uh, comedic writer director. You know, movies like The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Knocked Up, um, Trainwreck, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, uh, King of Staten Island. A lot of really solid movies, basically. Um, so he made this movie, sort of. Basically, it's about the COVID-19 lockdown, and it is about a movie crew trying to make a movie during the pandemic. Essentially, trying to create. The title is The Bubble that they have to create around each other, in order to make this movie. Basically, they all have to go to this remote area and the quarantine for 2 weeks, and then they'll be, safe to be around each other and make this movie. And from what I've heard, it's kind of loosely based on things that were actually happening during the harshest days of the pandemic in 2020 and 2021. There were productions being done, and I think it was even a Jurassic Park movie, which is kind of the basis for this film. That basically film crews were doing this kind of thing at the time. So
Right.
so he had this idea to make this movie about like a film production going on in the middle of the pandemic, with all the assorted things that were going along with that, quarantines and masks and paranoia and all that kind of stuff. And uh, he got like a really great cast to be in it. A lot of recognizable people. Maybe not like you were saying before we started here. Maybe not. They're not. Maybe they're not all household names, but they're all recognizable. Like I
Right.
would say, like the main star is Karen Gillan, which most people know from the Jumanji movies, I think.
Right.
And I knew her before that from Oculus and stuff like that. So I really like her. It's also got Keegan Michael Key from Key and Peele, um, Leslie Mann, who is of course Judd Apatow's wife, um, David Duchovny, Agent Mulder from the X Files, and like a boatload of kind of surprise cameos here and there. So that kind of thing. So, um, you know, I like to be I like to be the person who sticks up for movies that are like really bashed on a lot of the time,
Like Morbius.
This, yeah, yeah, Morbius I thought was, honestly, I thought you could do a lot worse than Morbius, this one was being really piled on top of, I've been seeing the half star and 1 star reviews on Letterboxd, and a lot of times people can be pretty hyperbolic on Letterboxd for, it's either the best movie ever or the worst movie ever, so I tend to take that with a grain of salt when I see all those really, really low reviews. I was like, come on, it's Judd Apatow. I can't remember if it's
I don't know what's
Apatow
the
or
right way to
Apatow.
say his name. I
Yeah,
just say
yeah.
Apatow. I don't know if it's right,
I'm
So
a
yeah.
frankly, I'm a big fan of his. You know what I mean? Like I've liked almost every movie that he's put out. Like I wasn't that hot on Funny People or This Is 40, but I didn't hate them, and
Right.
all the other ones I downright liked or loved.
Right.
So I was like, come on, it's a funny idea for a movie, like a Hollywood satire. It's a really talented writer director. The cast with all these cool people in it. There's no way it's that bad. Well, it's that bad. It really is. I mean, like, it really is. Like, it's really disappointing because I want it to be the person sticking up for the movie that everybody's like, dogpiling on, right now. Because that's typically what I do. I stick up for the underdog, but it's not worth it this time. um, so yeah, it's like I said, it's like a great idea. Like, I still think you can make a really funny satire with this concept, and I hope somebody does. It's a really talented cast, a lot of likable actors. I won't say I never laughed. I did chuckle a few times. Some people get some good bits in there, but man, it is just missing everything else. Everything that holds a movie together is missing in this movie. There's no wit. There's no storytelling clarity. There's no forward momentum. Like there's no story. There's no like the sense that you get when you're watching a movie that you're watching a story that's carrying you through. That's not here. It's just like a scene after scene after scene. There's no cohesion, no pacing. I mean, it's 126 minutes and it feels like 126 hours sometimes. It's just everything that holds a movie together is missing from this movie, in my opinion. Like it's proof positive that you need more than like a good idea and a good cast to make a movie work. You also got to have all those other things, and it just doesn't. It's like it's just scene after scene of like improv. It feels like mostly improv, where bad improv. Everybody's like trying really hard. You can practically see them sweating, scene after scene to make people laugh, and it's just not funny. It's just not funny. It goes on forever. It's really just bad. I mean, it's like it's pretty hard for me to I'm pretty easy with my grades, but it's pretty bad when even I can't think of anything nice to say about a movie, especially one by a writer director I really admire, by a cast I really like, and by an idea that I think is a great idea for a satire. But this is not that satire. So yeah, this is a big thumbs down for me. How about you, Kier?
Oh, I freaking loved it.
Oh,
I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, right.
No, it's pretty terrible. It's a very, very terrible film. Yeah, I mean, just not to dogpile onto your comments, but yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with everything that you indicated. It just felt like it really wasn't going anywhere. It felt like the script was like must have been like just minimum super bare. Because the way, yeah, I mean, it just seemed like you said, it's all improv. It was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna kind of let them do what they want to do. And a lot of the people in there are comedians or pretty funny people in their own right. So it's not like they didn't bring in anybody that, they've got people in there that was specifically for comic relief. I would assume, but even those people weren't that funny. This is definitely his worst film. And dare I say, the worst film that I've seen probably this year so far. I mean, it's early; it's only April, but yeah, it's dumpster fire, man. It's pretty bad. Like I said, if I'm being honest, I maybe chuckled a couple times, but like outright just like laughed a lot, and it didn't really happen. And I kept. The story, like you said, it was just kind of messy to me. I just, I'm like, where are we going? And even by the time it concluded, I really didn't care anymore. Like what happened. I was just talking with my wife earlier about this, and I was telling her we were doing a review on this film, and she's like, "Do you remember how that film ended?" And I was just like, "Yeah, I don't know." I kind of blanked out for a minute. Do you remember like what happens, like how it concluded? I just remember like them being in this quarantine and filming this, part 6 of like this, because the theory is they're basically filming like part 6 of like this, long running series, I guess, like you said, akin to like Jurassic Park, where, they're all talking about how amazing it's going to be. And I think that's kind of the satire in itself, that part 6 of anything is not going to be amazing. I mean, what part 6 of any film, it's really rare for a part 6 of a film to be amazing. Let's put it that way. So
it's the best Friday the 13th. I'll put it that way.
I probably disagree with that, but but any of it. But I don't know. It's pretty rare to have a part 6 be the best of any series. It's very difficult to do. People are just fatigue, you know what I mean, of anything else, just seeing the same cast and crew doing the same thing 6 times is pretty tough. And I think that's part of the satire of the film, but I don't know. It's just messy. I just, like I said, it felt like the film was having a hard time trying to find its footing, trying to find out exactly what it wanted to be, and kind of where it was going. And it just, like you indicated, it just felt like it wasn't going anywhere at all. And I would struggle to figure out, what's going to happen to these characters. Does anybody care? And I don't know. And then they kept adding like additional like people into the film, and you know, with like these additional like storylines kind of thing, and those storylines really went nowhere. You had a character, you know, hooking up with like somebody else that was in the quarantine that was on like a soccer team, and that storyline really went nowhere. And it was just, I don't know, there's just like all these like run-on storylines that I don't understand why it was even needed in the film in the first place, because nobody really cared. You know, and I don't know. I just, like I said, I don't know. It was a big, you know, swing and a miss in my opinion. So,
Yeah, I think it seems like it was just kind of, you know, let's throw as much crap against the wall as we possibly can, and surely enough of it'll stick. You know what I mean? That feels like basically, you know, we got all these funny people, we got a funny idea. Let's just like go for broke, and it'll all work out in the end. But it definitely does not.
and I don't know. I mean, I know you thought this was a great idea in theory, and maybe someone else can do it and make it, you know, but I don't know. It's the kind of film that I almost feel like either came out too soon during the pandemic, or you know what I mean, or was a little too late. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of an odd film, like because it's supposed to be like at the height of the pandemic, and I don't know. I almost kind of feel like this would have been a better film either to come out like, you know, soon after we got out of the pandemic, you know, or not the pandemic, but the quarantine. I'm sorry, I keep saying pandemic because we're technically still in it. But, you know, soon after we got out of the quarantine, you know, maybe like late 2020, early 2021. But I feel like now, because we're still kind of sort of going through some things. I mean, we're not wearing masks anymore, but there's still new variants coming out, whatever case may be. So I don't know. I kind of feel like the timing of this film also just felt, to me, it felt a little out of place, just the timing of it. And I don't know if, you know, that's just me or what, but it just, I don't know. Even watching, it just felt like I almost couldn't relate to like because I almost forgot about like the whole quarantine process and us not being able to leave the house, and you know, and so you know, and it's just like we're still kind of going through it a little bit, coming out of, we're on the tail end, I feel like, at this point. But I don't know, I just feel like something about the timing of it just didn't feel right to me for some reason. I don't know, so it's hard to put my finger on it, but yeah, it was just a mess from, I feel like, from beginning to end. And
It's never a good time for a terrible movie, Kier.
that is true. You just don't make those movies. You just shelf it for the next 3 years. Yeah. And then, like I said, I just don't know that people are necessarily were even ready for a bubble type film. And then the other thing is like you indicated and we talked about was like how you said that, you know, you like to stick up for films that are being dogpiled on like Morbius. But I would say the difference with Morbius in this film is not only are the reviews bad for the bubble, but even the audience scores are super terrible as well. And so that's kind of a double whammy a lot of times for me personally, when I see that, you know, at least with Morbius has got like a 73% with audiences or something like that. So at least, you know, people aren't like, most people that watched it had a generally favorable opinion of it. This critics dogpiled on it, and even audiences were like, heck no, this movie is trash. So I mean, I did go into it open-minded because of the director and because I do like a lot of those cast members, but ultimately it was just a mess.
Yeah, I did. I looked at it earlier today, and it has like on Rotten Tomatoes, it has like a 28% from critics, which I still think is too high.
That's I would say that's even higher than Morbius, actually, believe it or not. So yeah,
and then like the audience score is 33%.
Yeah,
that's bad when they're both below 40%. That's, you know, I mean, like it's so strange. I mean, with this director, that cast, usually, you know, they're both solidly in the fresh area, you know what I mean? And I should have known it was going to be different. But I was hoping for a miracle, I guess.
Yeah. Not to be had in this situation, unfortunately. So, but
no.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add about the bubble?
Nope. I never want to think about it again.
Fair enough. Well, overall grade and face you would give this one?
I give it a 1 out of 5, a D. So I haven't had to come up with this face yet, but something like that, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Honestly, I hadn't really thought about a grade I would give it. But probably a 1 is probably about where I would be. Between a 1.5 a star. I don't know, when I actually write my review, I'll probably come to a conclusion, but I think 1 star sounds about right for me, because I don't know, I probably will give it 1 star just because I know that I chuckled a couple times, so that's something.
Basically, yeah.
That is something.
Yeah.
And so there's something to be said about that. So same, it's just like a very upset face.
Yeah.
Because I was not impressed. But yeah, definitely so far, this has been the worst film that I've seen all year. So, and in fairness, I'm pretty picky about the films that I do see. You know what I mean? I'm not usually somebody that gravitates towards something that's got terrible reviews, unless it's something that I really was interested in seeing, or I thought that it potentially could have a chance. Because even with Morbius, I knew the audience score before I went in, so I knew that the critics had dogpiled on it, but I knew audiences had a general favorable opinion of it, and it looked decent to me. So that was, for me, was like a little more of a, yeah, I can probably check this one out, just because it looked a little more favorable in terms of audiences seeming to like it a little bit more. Yeah. But this one, I try to go into it as open-minded as I could, and I did. But obviously, knowing that critics and audiences were not fans of this one, it didn't really have a whole lot of hope. So.
Yeah, I'm sorry for suggesting it.
Hey, that's what we do. We suggest films and we check them out, and it's not like you were telling me like, hey, you gotta check out The Bubble. Don't listen to the critics. It's amazing. So you weren't saying anything like that. But it's just one of those things. Yeah. Well, let us know down in the comments. Have you seen The Bubble? Did you like it by chance? Obviously, 33% or whatever it is did like it, so somebody liked it. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you loathe it? Was the worst film that you've seen this year? Like it was for me, and I'm assuming Jason as well. Obviously, let us know down in the comments. As always, if you like the channel, we ask that you like, subscribe, make sure you hit that bell notification, and we'll be back again soon with another show. Hopefully, a much better review and more positive review when we come back. We thank you for watching and hope you have a great day. Bye.
Bye.